Okay, so you just got Flins, or you're considering pulling him, but you don't have Ineffa. Obviously everyone's telling you he'll be weaker without her, and they are right, she is in his best teams, but you have some options. I dropped a video with 9 C0 teams for Flins earlier, but this one is for those that don't have Ineffa. It'd be disingenuous to suggest these teams are close to Ineffa teams, but you'll clear endgame with them. Flins' best team for day 1 is Ino, Sucrose and Ineffa, but if you don't have Ineffa, either of Yansan or Cookie will likely be your best alternative sustains in this team. We all got a free copy of Ino, and the good news is that while she isn't a great unit, she does synergize with Flins. Even at C0, she applies off-field Hydro and has a short cooldown on a burst. With the timing on Flins' skill cooldown, you want to run a team with a shorter rotation time. Even though Ino isn't as good as someone like Sing Cho, his burst cooldown is 20 seconds while Ino's is 13.5. Basically, the team won't deal as much damage during the parts where you're attacking with Flins, having Ino instead of Sing Cho, but you can switch back to Flins quicker so it ends up better. Sucrose is one of the biggest beneficiaries of 6.0 because you can play her with all the new units. Once Kazuha came out in 1.6, she was relegated to a lesser used role and sometimes even just the bench. Kazuha's elemental damage buff is usually better than Sucrose's elemental mastery buff, but with Lunar Charge not needing elemental damage and instead wanting elemental mastery, Sucrose is better in Flins teams. To be honest, it felt like a weak team without Ineffa. You could swap Yansan or Cookie out for more electro damage from Fischl for example, but then there's no sustain unit. You could even go with a Hydro sustain like Kokomi Barbara or Siege Ween. I've gone with Barbara purely because we all get her for free. Having only one electro unit in the team was an issue for energy, but I kept Ino in the team for the moon sign level so Flins can get the extra crit rates from the artifact set. I did try taking Ino out for Fischl, but Barbara's Hydro application was bad with his skill cooldown being so long. You can work around it a little with sacrificial fragments, but even then it was awkward. I guess Sing Cho's an option, but the rotation will be longer and less comfy. I don't think I've talked about it yet, so I'll mention it now. You don't need to use Sucrose's burst, you just use her skill ones for the shorter rotation and give her Thrilling Tales to give Flins some attack. Your rotation will be so short that you won't get the Thrilling Tales buff on the second rotation, but it's still the best weapon option for her. Now I imagine you're probably sick of seeing Sucrose in all these teams, so let's look at some without her. To be honest, this one felt a lot better than the other Ineffaless teams, but it does use more in-demand units. On paper you'd think it doesn't give Flins too much, with damage bonus not doing anything for his Lunar Charge damage, but he still deals damage outside of it, and Farina's always a nice sub-DPS option anyway. Good news is you don't need to use Farina's burst, because Flins doesn't need the damage buff with so much of his damage being Lunar Charged. This means you can build less energy recharge on Farina and some more damage orientated stats like crit and HP. With the rotation being so short and Farina's skill duration being so long, you only need to use a skill once every other rotation. I think the weak link in this side is Ino. We don't really need a Hydro app because Farina's given us enough, so all that Ino's given us is the moon sign level. This could be another potential team for Columbina. I'm looking forward to seeing what she does. For those that didn't get Ineffa, it is nice to have a genuinely good sustain option in Shalonen. While the damage bonus doesn't do much as we mentioned, the resistance shred benefits the Lunar Charge damage, so she has a lot of value here. Also, I know you're more concerned with meta viability, but it is nice to have a Natlan unit in the team for exploration too. Sticking with unorthodox teams, I figured I'd test both Flins and Lauma together, seeing as though Lauma is strong in Hyperbloom teams. She's holding Deepwood, Cookie's on Tenacity, and you can give Serenade to either of Ino, Yelan or Farina. I went with Yelan to show some variety. I found this team to be alright as far as Ineffaless options go. I did prefer the others, and I definitely think there are other units who are stronger for Lauma Hyperbloom teams like Nouvellette, but I appreciate the flexibility for Flins teams. Ineffa will be an upgrade here, so assuming she gets a rerun towards the end of Nodcry, this team isn't the ceiling for Flins in Hyperbloom teams. I do think Columbina will improve the team though, so it's another reason to look forward to her. There are rumours that she might shred resistances for all elements, so if she does that with the team having Dendro, Electro and Hydro, it's winner winner chicken dinner. Flins is a Lunar Charge character, so you do want to play him in teams with Hydro and Electro so you can trigger all instances of damage from his burst. To demonstrate what he looks like outside of Lunar Charge teams though, I went with Overloaded. It's actually not too bad for damage, but Flins is contributing very little. If you were to take him out and replace him with Veressa or Clorand, the team will be a lot better. It's worth noting you're only getting 15% crit rates from the set rather than 30%, with Flins being the only Nodcry character. There were moments you'll see where he's hitting over 100k to multiple enemies with his burst, but that's a single Veresa plunge and his normal attacks aren't dealing much. If you don't have any other options in this video at all, maybe you could play it, but I do not recommend pulling him to play in this team. He's not one of those flexible characters that you can cook experimental teams with, unfortunately. Despite that, I thought I'd try it anyway with this one. Elemental Mastery benefits Luna Charged, but also Superconduct. Obviously not a great reaction, but I thought I'd experiment with the two reactions together just in case they release a Nodcry unit in the future tailored towards mixing these reactions. It wasn't great, but it also wasn't as bad as you'd think. I think it's another of those where if you were to swap Flins and Ino out, you'd just get a much better team, but if you don't have Ineffa, you don't have too many options. I'd love to see a Superconduct support here in place of Ino. Maybe not one as restrictive as Chevreuse, with you only wanting the two elements involved in a reaction, because you'll still want Hydro for Luna Charged. Someone that reduces Cryo and Electro resistance upon triggering Superconduct would be nice though, and maybe Elemental Mastery to the team as a bonus. Even without it, you have 3 different damage dealers in the team. I don't imagine this is ever going to be a team that people run to when we need to clear Stygian on the higher difficulties, but this would wipe the floor with most Abyss cycles. It could be a lot of fun in Imaginarium Theatre too when you start getting the buffs from the cards. Definitely want to keep an eye on in the future. Now, if I hadn't included Bennett, there'd inevitably be questions asking how good they are together, so I thought I'd give it a go. I found the team was okay. Luna Charged uptime was good, plenty of healing to counter Farina's bleed. Ino's in there for the Nodcry set, but again, I felt she wasn't bringing too much. She gives us the Hydro Resonance with the extra HP helping Farina's damage and Bennett's healing, but there's still room for a better teammate in the future. One thing I will say if you decide to go with this team is that I'd give Flins a little extra energy to make up for the lack of Electro Resonance. Overall, an alright team, but it's a little boring pulling out Bennett and Farina as per usual. With it being the first patch of Nodcry though, there aren't gonna be many options. For this last team, I saw a tweet where someone made a lantern meme team purely because we have lanterns. Unfortunately, it's not good as it does have a lot of anti-synergy. Lisa makes the rotation longer and you're not triggering burning, so Emily's skill isn't dealing as much damage as it usually does. There's also no sustain unit. You could maybe give Lisa Prototype Amber, but that's going to make the damage even less. It might still be a fun meme team if Columbina can heal or something, but I wouldn't get your hopes up. For a score out of 10, I'd give Flins a 7. You can play him without an Ineffa or Sucrose, but then other Electro DPSs become better options than Flins, and there's no all-around synergy in the Hydro slot. I do think we'll get better teammates in future patches though, so 7 out of 10 definitely isn't his ceiling. Just a reminder to check out my Flins video from earlier with teams including Ineffa, and take it easy.